Okay, well, thank you once again for having me. So that's my name. Okay, I saw the biography and all, but I don't want to focus on that. I'm a legal practitioner based in Nigeria, here, Lagos, Nigeria. But I like to call myself a torch bearer. I like to call myself as someone who has been called to show people the path. So instead of defining myself by my job, by my role, by my status in the society, I just define myself by what God has called me to be, and that's being a torch bearer. And I hope that our time tonight or this evening, it's 4:22 p.m. over here, we'll be able to see more of that, that I'm a torch bearer. So thank you so much. Thank you for honoring the invitation. Thank you, Impact Leaders Connect, for doing this. It's going to be a wonderful year, not just this session. And I must confess, I'm actually honored to be our first speaker for this Shift series. And I'm also honored to be doing this with other industry leaders that I believe are here, and people with large hearts. I believe if you have an organization, one or two, or if you're looking forward to know how to lead yourself as a leader, you are actually serious about life. So I'm honored. I'm so, so, so honored. And you have no idea how honored I am. So thank you so much for giving me the privilege to do this. All right, let's go into our conversation so we don't waste so much time. But just know that throughout the speaking event, I'll be saying thank you to you. So thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. All right. So yes, we want to talk about personal evolution. And I know that one thing I know for sure is that it's not something we don't know how to define. It's not like I don't know what personal evolution is about. I believe I'm seated with smart people, intelligent leaders, and I believe that we all know the definition of personal evolution, which has to do with your growth, evolving. But one thing I want to mention that is very important before we go into the meat of our conversation is the fact that the word evolution, which is where we miss it the most as leaders, as human beings ourselves, we do not understand that it's not it's not a month journey. It's not something we do in a day. It's not something we do in a month. It's not something we do in a year. It's something that will continue throughout our lifetime. We continue to evolve. We continue to change. Now, the challenge with us most of the times is like we feel we've arrived. We feel, oh, I'm done with self-growth. As a leader, I'm now a leader. I have some followers with me. So maybe I'm done learning all that I have to learn. And I'm just supposed to be in the place where I teach other people. But the beauty of life is that the more we change, the more we expand our knowledge, the more we expand our exposure, the more we shift, the more we take a different turn, the more we become more effective as leaders. And I must confess to you, I can tell with my own life experience, and I believe that I have a lot of smart individuals here who can also tell with their life experience that it's a journey. It's throughout our lifetime. It's not by just attending this meeting alone that we understand evolution. It's not by just attending one conference that you've evolved. We keep evolving, we keep changing. For someone like me, I will just share a little bit of my story. Pardon me, I'm so vulnerable. So I like to share personal stories so people can relate. So today people say, oh, Tola is a legal practitioner, she's this. But I used to be a drug addict. And I used to do a whole lot of things that were not serving me at some point in my life. But throughout my journey so far, I've been able to evolve. I've been able to make some changes. I've been able to do some things. I've been able to look at life in a different way. So what am I saying to us before we go into our conversation, our proper conversation, is to understand that it's a journey. So take it easy on yourself. There's no need for us to be in a hurry. The most important thing is making incremental changes day to day as leaders. What can I change today? What can I learn today? What is that thing that I can work on about myself? What is that thing that I've observed about myself? Now I'm going to mention something that is very important to evolution. And this is where we all miss it. It's not about saying, oh, I want to change. It's not about saying, oh, I want to attend conferences. I want to meet with this person. I want to network. When I started out, that was the mistake that I made. I thought, oh, you just network, you meet people, you go to conferences, you do a whole lot of things. But as time went on, I realized that central to evolution, central to your personal growth, central to you making a series of shifts in your life is self-awareness. is you getting to know who you are, is you getting to know your strengths and your weaknesses. At some point in my life, I had to admit to the fact that I may be struggling with ADHD. I had to admit, I think I spoke with Mr. Sam at some point too, and I had to admit that I may not be a good organizer. It may not be my thing to organize things, but I can talk very well. I can speak very well. And it was at that moment that I started playing to my strengths. It was easy for me to change. It was easy for me to make changes, knowing who I am. But the mistake that we make these days is we believe that because we are leaders, we're supposed to know how to do everything. I'm the leader, I'm the best person in the room, I'm the one that packed all of these people together as my followers. So I shouldn't have any weakness. I shouldn't have any, I should just be perfect. Everyone has to see me as being perfect. And I'm going to touch on that. Being a leader is not about you being perfect. Being a leader is not about knowing what to say all the time. Being a leader is not about knowing all the answers, having all the answers. And I've encountered that with working with different leaders and organizations and CEOs. I've learned that one of the challenges we have as leaders is our ego. We want to know everything. We want to believe that if they are calling me the leader of this organization, I should know everything. And the very moment you place yourself in the I know it all, instead of I will keep learning, it is at that very moment you actually stop evolving. So let me not jump ahead. But first, let's talk about you being able to understand the fact that you need to know yourself. You really need to know who you are as a leader, as a person. Before I can talk about, oh, I want to change anything, get into a room. Before you can start saying you want to make some changes, the first thing you ask yourself is, how does this place look like right now? You need to agree to the fact that this place is not so good. I mean, not like the color. I think I want some contemporary design. I think I'm a minimalist. So I may not like the way my room is. I don't like the whole dress up. I like just want a few things on my table before you go ahead to make the changes. You don't just get into your room and say, I don't know what I want to change. I don't know what I want to do, but I want to change. And that's the mistake we make. I don't know what my strengths are. I don't know what my weaknesses are. I'm not taking time to actually sit with myself, to ask myself, who is Adetola? Who is Samuel? Who is Moses? Who is Adams? So if until you sit down with Sarah, until you sit down to ask yourself, who am I? What are the things that I love to do? What are the things I don't like? What are the things that ministers to me more? What are the things that speaks to me more? Instead of me trying to change everything about me without knowledge. So before evolution comes knowledge. Before you say you want to evolve, comes knowledge first. You need to know yourself. You need to know who you are. Don't try to compare yourself with me. I can speak very well, but my attention span will be very low. I may need some help with organizing things. And because I know that, oh, that's who Tola is, I talk to my friends. For instance, I'm not good at maths. I can't dance. I can't do maths rather to save my life. You understand? So anytime I want to calculate, I just send it to my friend. I don't do calculations. So please, can you help me out with this? That's knowing myself. So when you know yourself, you are able to make changes. You are able to tell, okay, this is what I have to do to help myself. This is where I am. So know who you are, know where you are in life. When you hear Mr. Sam speaking about his first organization at the age of 21, for Christ's sake, I think at the age of 21, I was still doing drugs. So I didn't know anything about myself. So imagine all of a sudden, I want to start comparing myself like with Mr. Sherlock, with Mr. Sam, who has had different organization. I don't have knowledge in that aspect. So to compare myself to say, I want to be like him, I want to start doing things at his level, will be lack of self-awareness. So sometimes some of us, when we want to change to the level of the person that has started years before us. So to evolve, you need to get to know you. What do you like? Why are you different from the other person? That's number one. Very important. Without self-awareness, there is no evolution. Without self-awareness, there is no change. Now, a lot of people will say, you know what? I know who I am. Okay? I know what I can do. I know my strengths. I'm so self-aware. But why is it that if you ask me, maybe it's on some of us' mind, that despite knowing what to do, we don't do what we're supposed to do. Despite knowing that this is what I need to make some changes, I need to evolve, but we still don't do it. And I've had that questions, like, for the most part of my life. I see myself talking about change, talking about how I want to evolve as a person, talking about the need for me to evolve. And I realized that the main issue is not because I don't have knowledge. The main issue is because I don't have understanding. I don't understand why. And as human beings, we are trained to want to know the logic behind something. What's the point? Why should I think of evolving? Why can't I just be where I am? I have one house, 2 cars, just 2 family members. I have my children. I have 2 or 3 organizations. I think I'm doing quite all right. I think some of us do that. I think I'm fine. Why is it that even after having 10 organizations, I still have to evolve? Why is it that even before even having an organization, I still have to evolve, because we're at all different levels in our lives? And in my search, in my exposure, I got to realize that it's not really our fault. For the most part of our lives, we've been blamed for not really knowing how to change, for taking so long to change. And that's been one of the challenges I personally had growing up and mixing with people. For me, I had issues. I didn't know how to make friends because I grew up in a broken home. So I didn't know what relationship was like. I didn't know what it means to network. I was just very slow because of the upbringing that I had. So my childhood, and not just mine, every one of us here, our childhood has a way of defining us. What has happened to us in the past actually has it, because in our formative years, everything that you are, you just see someone being able to being smart and being able to take proactive, go back to their childhood. Somebody invested in that. So the question is why? Just like every business you want to start, why do I need personal evolution? Why do I need to change? Why do I need to evolve? Why do I need to be committed to evolving as a person? Let's even forget being a leader. As a human being, why do I need to shift? I'm going to take you to a journey. Few years, I think few months back, I went back to the place that I grew up in. And I realized that a lot of people have not changed. Same job, same life, same work, same income. Older than me, probably smarter than I am, but same place. And I asked myself, why? And why did I ask that question is because we need to be able to use our environment as our experiment. The world is there for us to use to observe. You need to look at people and ask why. You are at this age and not so much changes. Still the same house, the same income, the same job, even though the job is not meaningful and satisfying, but still the same place. Why? Why is it that these people are still there? And I realized that, yes, one of it may be a knowledge gap, not being able to understand that this is what they need, but not also understanding one important factor is that by virtue of our cultural legacies, by virtue of where we grew up in, by virtue of our environment, by virtue of the kind of parents and the temperament and the genetics and everything, we need to change. Got to a point I had to tell myself, this thing that I inherited from my parents will not serve me. This kind of culture that I was created in, not my, I don't know why God just felt Nigeria was cool. I love Nigeria. Let me say once again, congratulations to us Nigerians that are here for reaching the semifinals. And if you're Ghanaian, I'm so sorry for what happened. It's well, we understand your pain, but congratulations to us. And we are sure bringing the AFCON Cup home. So congratulations to Nigerians once again. So I like my country, don't mind me. But by virtue of me being from a particular set of environment, I probably have some limiting beliefs, some beliefs that have ruled me over all through my life growing up, that there are some places you can't reach. This is the level you can reach. This is what you can do. They've defined the limits before you came to Earth. And you don't know, you find yourself as an adult, the same The same thing that happened to the adults that I saw in the home that I grew up in. It never changed, but they didn't realize that they're still living within the parameters of the beliefs that they've been told, their limits, and saying that this is where what you can do. And when you're speaking with them, you're hearing them teach you their own fears. You listen to your parents, they teach you their own fears, not possibilities. You listen to your environment, you listen to the fact that you're coming from a third world country, they tell you what you can't do. This is only reserved for Americans, this is only reserved for that. And you look at yourself and you are defined by those limiting beliefs. So why do I need to evolve? I need to evolve because where I am is not serving me. I need to evolve because this is not all there is to life. I need to evolve because maybe, just maybe, what I've been taught growing up is not the entire truth. I need to evolve because maybe, just maybe, my parents, instead of teaching me possibilities, they've taught me their own fears, and I've defined my life by their own fears, not mine. So maybe my personal history, maybe all that I know about life is not the limit of life. Maybe there is more out there. So I need to concentrate on growth because maybe I still don't know myself in totality. Maybe everything that consists of Adetola, everything that consists of Israel, everything that is all about Moses, the content of Moses, maybe that's not all the possibilities that it can have. So it's not about, it's like life and death. Evolution as a person, consistent growth is about discovering who you truly are outside of cultural limiting beliefs, outside of childhood trauma, outside of a lot of things that may have happened to us growing up, and we've defined ourselves by those things. So I need to evolve. I need to grow because maybe I don't know myself. Maybe the Tola you're seeing today, this is not the best of me. So wherever I am, I should tell myself, this is not the best yet. This is not all there is to me. Yes, this is what I've known all my life. But maybe this is not all there is to me. Maybe there is something. Maybe I'm living out my parents' fears. Maybe I'm living out the limiting beliefs of my society. Maybe that's my challenge. Maybe this is not me. Maybe I'm not somebody who struggles. Maybe I'm not somebody who has any issue. Maybe I'm not this person who has so much fears. Maybe my society taught me that. And that's why we need to evolve, because we need to discover the real you. We need to be able to know you. And to know you, we need to commit. We need to first know that, we need to first accept that maybe this is not what there is to us. And each morning, I look at myself and tell myself, maybe not each morning, but most of the mornings, I tell myself, yes, I'm struggling with some things. I have some challenges. Some things are not the way. I still have some some negative genetic displaying through me because I can't fight genetics easily. But I'm open to evolving. I'm open to exploring my life. I'm open to exploring my life. I'm open to knowing Adetola. And that's why I said in the beginning, to give us a picture, is that I do not define myself by my job role. I do not define myself by my status, because I'm evolving. I'm changing every day. I'm trying. I'm supposed to, let me see, try my very possible best to believe that whatever I've achieved now, that's not all there is to it. So first, knowledge, self-awareness. Take some time to yourself and ask yourself some sincere questions. Is this me? Am I okay with this person? That's number one. Number two, why should I even be questioning myself if I'm okay with this person? I should be questioning myself if I'm okay with this person is because maybe this person that I've become is a sum up of all I've been taught that is possibly not true. Maybe this person I've become is just a little of what I can become. So why not commit to growth? Why not try to explore myself? Because the very honest truth, which we do not like, and I think I read it in the book by Malcolm Gladwell, Outlier, said we like to think that we are independent of our cultural tendencies. I'm a Nigerian, and as a Nigerian, we are bold, we boast. We say more than we can. So let me not expose our people. You get, but I have some cultural tendencies as a Nigerian, and some of them are negative. Not every one of them is positive. I need to be able to tell myself that, yeah, maybe there's this cultural tendency, and I need to be able to work on it because I'm going to work with people from different parts of the world. And if I don't work on these cultural tendencies, it's going to affect my relationship with people. Or maybe you notice a genetic display in the family, and there's this temperament issue, and a lot of people in the family are always, heated in argument. And you tell yourself, is this how I want to continue with my life? Is this how I want to keep having heated argument? Let me give you a story. Don't mind, I like stories a lot. Gives a proper illustration. We used to have this very good baker in our church growing up. This guy bakes all our cakes for us. Very good man. He has been looking for a job for 10 years, but while looking for a job, he has been diligent in church. A very diligent man. You need prayer points, you need anything you do to meet this man. And he will bake your cake real nice. Talent wasn't the issue. He was so talented. Then one day, came to give testimony in church. Finally, after 10 years, he got a job with ShopRite, and they made him the chief baker of ShopRite. You can imagine the excitement. And in the space of 2 months, he got 2 cars, sent his children to the best school in the neighborhood. Now, this is not fiction. This is something I experienced real life. Then I was in my 100 level back then, and my mom called me one day. I said, "Oh, do you know that they've sacked Mr. Let me cover him. His name is, let me use Mr. Timothy. Do you know that Mr. Timothy is no longer working with ShopRite?" And I asked why. I actually thought the issue would have been that they sacked him. Maybe because the cake wasn't good enough, or maybe because it wasn't clocking into work early enough. So I thought it's either talent or maybe some ethical issue, only to realize that Mr. Timothy he sacked himself. He resigned from the job because his boss cautioned him about something. And he felt he couldn't take the insult. He felt he was too talented to take insults. He was even saying that from the kind of family they come from, they don't take insults. They don't allow themselves to be insulted. They know what they are capable of doing. They know their talent, so nobody can rubbish them. And in the space of a month after losing the job, took his children back to the poor school. He couldn't afford keeping up with the car. Until today, he has not gotten a job, serious job since then. Now, you ask me, was Mr. Timothy a prayerful man? Oh, yes. Always praying. First to get to the church. Was he talented? Oh, yes, very talented. You do not want any other person to bake your cake except Mr. Timothy. But was Mr. Timothy, what actually made Mr. Timothy stuck in life is actually because he didn't evolve as a human being. He continued that genetic tendencies, that negative genetic traits that says, I am that I am. I am talented and people are supposed to chase me and I'm not supposed to take insult. That cultural tendency, that attitude alone cost him his job and cost not just himself, his family, his children. So you can see that it's not about talent. It's not about being able to talk. It's not about being an eloquent speaker. It's actually, are you evolving? Are you looking at yourself and saying that this tendency in my family, I don't want to continue? I got to a point in my life, I had to say, no, I can't do this anymore. This is not going to serve. Yes, this is what they will do. So I will put it to you. Most times, what we call generational curse, for the Nigerians, we understand. It's not generational curse, it's generational choices. We've been making some choices from generation to generation, and we are used because we are tied to our ancestors. We don't want to believe that. But for a fact, we are. And we are still making those choices that they made. Instead of us taking a sit back and saying that Is this really what I want to do with my life? Can I change? Can I be the better version of my parents? Can I be the better version of my country? Can I be the better version of my society? Because in the end, you will only get as much as you've evolved into. Life will only give you an eye to the level of our evolution. Everything we want, I tell you, everything we want, God created us in His image. Everything you and I want, you want to have 1,000 non-governmental organizations, it's available for the taking. But there's just one factor. How ready are you to reinvent yourself? How ready are you to reinvent yourself? I've had to come to the point in my life where I told myself that, Tola, you're messing up. If you continue like this, you will end up like your ancestors ended up. If you continue like this, you will not make, you may have the talent. I just spoke Nigeria English now, there's a good speak. You may have the talent. You may be so beautiful, so well-spoken, but not evolve so much in life, not amount to so much because you've not evolved. You've not asked yourself, how can I reinvent myself for the future needs? So you and I need reinventing on a constant basis. But we can't do that if we don't sit and ask ourselves, if we are not humble enough. And it starts from the place of humility. I can see Miss Zohar comment. She's especially in Afghanistan. We have a lot of problems, but we try more because this is life. Exactly. When I see people from that part of the world really trying, I know that it's serious evolution. When I even saw them here today, I said, that's what I'm talking about. We Nigerians say, do you know what we do? We like to blame the government. Any small thing, we will blame the government for our problems. We will blame the government for not waking up early. We will blame the government for everything. But you as a person, what's your addition? Do you know that a country will only rise to the level of the evolution of its citizens? A country will not rise above the evolution of its citizens. So if you are not evolving, you are one of the problems of Nigeria. You're one of the problems of the country. You're one of the problems of the organization. My responsibility to evolve is because as I evolve, my society changes. Just imagine, every one of us decide to take up on this journey as Nigerians, as people from Afghanistan, as people from South Africa, as people from Ghana. I don't know. I have a beef with Ghanaians, but don't worry. I'm not a racist, but they like to argue with us about their jollof rice, and well, let's not go there. So what am I trying to say? Imagine each individual from those countries. Imagine we are the problem of the country. We are not evolving. We are not changing chapters, like Ms. Zoa just mentioned now. We are not changing. Some of us are still in page 1 as citizens. And that's why when I went back to the house I grew up in, I realized that some people never left page 1. And because they never left page 1, they affected their children. They affected their community. A country where the citizens are not committed to evolution and to change and to changing the chapters, that country will always remain underdeveloped. So while we're sitting around blaming our president, the question is, how are you evolving? How are the citizens evolving? Because God created us with our unique contribution to the society. So let me start with first. I say let me start a lot, don't mind me. I've started since how many minutes ago? Humility. How humble are you to accept that you have not arrived? You have not arrived. None of us have arrived. Even me that I'm speaking, I'm going to go back to listen to this because I've not arrived either. But I've left. That's the most important thing. Every one of us here, we've left, but we've not arrived. And when you commit yourself to the knowledge that you've not arrived, it's easy for you to open your heart to evolution. It's easy for you to say, I want to change. You can't talk about change when you believe that you have arrived at the highest level of evolution. You can't talk about change when you feel like you don't have anything to change. You can't talk about change when you feel like, I'm the leader of this organization. I was asking a leader recently, how many books have you read this month? Do I see you How many conferences have you attended? How many meetings? How many newsletters have you read? But yet you are a leader of an organization. It's because you believe that you've arrived. Now let me go to what really matters to us. My time is fast spent. We are all leaders here. And even if you do not have an organization, you're leading yourself. You and I have a responsibility to lead ourselves, even if we don't have any organization we lead. And I mentioned it slightly before, that the fruits of life, God has given us everything to enjoy. Everything. We got to earth, we didn't have to think of how is this plant going to grow. We met everything here. We don't think of is day going to break tomorrow? It shows us how abundant life is. But what you and I will get from life depends on how willing we are committed to making changes. Now, the rate at which we may evolve may differ. The rate at which we may change may differ. I may change a little bit slower due to my cultural tendencies and my genetics. And that's why I want you to give yourself some graces. Some of the challenges we're going through is because some of us are collateral damages to some of the decisions our parents made, our society made, but that's not the end. It's being able to admit that, oh yes, maybe my parents had me way too early. Maybe my dad wasn't there. Maybe, but I'm committed. And the moment you're committed to that evolution, you are telling life, you are telling the universe that you are ready for more than you've ever received. You're telling the universe to bring more to you because you are expanding your capacity level. You are expanding the level of influence. So instead of saying, why are things not changing for me? Instead of being fixated on the problem, because some of us, we are so fixated on the challenge and we don't ask ourselves, what is the solution? I do that sometimes. Instead of us being fixated on that, we should fixate our mind on the fact that maybe I'm at this level because I have not changed. And it is not only knowledge that brings about changes. I was speaking to a colleague of mine recently. I said, knowledge is mere potential power. The real power is application of knowledge. How often do we apply the things we read as leaders? How often do we apply the truths that come to us? Because it is in application that we evolve. And the level of our influence, the level of our expansion, depends solely on the level of how easy are we to. It's okay, Mr. Sirak. We thank you so much for joining us for the little time. I hope you got some. Is how is the level of how am I evolving? Instead of blaming the society for your problem, ask yourself, in my finance, what have I done to work on my finance? I've been realizing that, I'm not able to, how have I invest myself in that area? So nobody's our problem here. You first change, you first commit to a lifetime change and see if the mighty forces will not come to your aid. And I'll say this finally. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself time. It's not a day journey. It's not a month journey. But as long as you're committed, as long as you are open-minded, as long as you take a step each day, you don't have to change everything at once. You just have to ask yourself, what can I do differently today? What is that little thing I can add to the little thing that I've been doing before? And that's being committed to evolution. So you and I, we need it. Our society needs you to evolve. Your family needs you to take certain steps. The success you want to see in your family, in your life, comes from how already you had to evolve. Already you had to leave those cultural tendencies and genetic tendencies and tell yourself that I can work on this thing. So that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing for us to know. And I came here to mainly discuss, because like I said, we are all smart people here. We know about personal evolution, but we don't know that it's a desperate need. We don't know that it's something we have to do desperately in the now. We don't know it's something we have to be committed to, because without it, we can't move forward. Without it, we cannot expand. Without it, we can grow to this level and just stay at the level and wonder why, but we don't know that we only got to the level we are willing to learn to. We don't know that, oh, I'm at this level because this is the limit I've given myself for evolution. So if you ask me, I will say that commits to personal evolution. It's a journey, and there are beautiful things to pick up on the journey. There are beautiful things you and I don't know until you open the next chapter of the book. You never can tell what you find. Make the intention of your evolution, make it just about learning about yourself. Don't make it about becoming the president of Nigeria or the one who has the biggest organization. Just make it about discovering who Tola is, who Moses is, who Zohar is. I just want to know myself more. Maybe I'm not what it taught me as a child. Maybe I'm more than my country. And as you do that, I can tell you, if I was told in 2017, when I was having addiction with drugs, that I would be here speaking with leaders about personal evolution, I would have laughed it off. But I was willing to explore my life. And it is in the process of exploration that I got to where I am today. And then if I still commit to that exploration, I will discover more about myself. And it's also that same journey you've been taking that has gotten you here. So I will say, don't relent. Keep exploring your destination. Keep asking questions. So how do I evolve? You may ask me. Be curious. Be open-minded. Be humble. Be very humble. It takes a man who is humble to get to a certain height and say that maybe I still need to know. So I hope that my name, being a torchbearer, I've been able to shed some light on some things. And I will just leave the remaining minutes for questions. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I hope I've been able to say anything, because I don't know what to say to big leaders like you, but I hope I tried my best. So thank you. I will let Mr. Samuel or Mr. Moses have the floor. So I'm open to questions. I think from there we can move on. Thank you so much. God bless you. Hello, can anyone hear me? Okay, all right.
Yeah, we can hear you, Adetola. That's amazing. I don't know, Moses, are you there to come in? Okay, maybe I can take the questions. That's really great. I was blessed by your story. Your storytelling approach is really amazing, and getting to learn about all this. As I said, there are many things you said today I've not, hear you like say before. So it's always, a big opportunity to learn from you anytime we invite you like this. So, please, if you have any question, you can drop in the chat. I think we have about 5-10 minutes for questions. I have a question while we wait for others to drop theirs. So the first question I have is, what's the difference between personal discovery and personal evolution? So discovering yourself and evolution, is it a different thing? Is it the same concept? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Samuel, for asking that question. It's a similar concept, but it's different in a way. Personal discovery, evolution has to do with change. You're changing. Discovery has to do with awareness. You're finding yourself, you're knowing who you are. Now, for me, at some point, I had to understand that because of where I come from, because of some genetic display, I'm discovering myself. I'm knowing that this is me. I'm discovering who I am. Independent, sometimes even independent of our parents, because some people, we don't know ourselves. So getting to know myself, oh, Tola, for instance, Tola likes to, it was my first. Do I have the best food? I think I do. Okay, yes, I like to eat beans. I like beans a lot. So Tola likes beans. Tola likes to wear joggers. On the ordinary day, I like to wear joggers. You can see I'm a sweater. Tola can be a little bit, harsh sometimes. So when you get to know yourself that way, that's discovery. But now evolution has to do with change, evolving. So the Tola you knew yesterday is no longer the Tola of today. The Tola you knew in 2019 no longer the Tola of today. So
Mm.
discovery is now that's level one. Then level two is now evolving, now changing, now taking steps to change.
Mm. Well, thank you very much. So you're still waiting for questions. I think I have two more to ask. So while we wait, yeah, thank you for sharing about that concept, personal discovery, personal evolution. I believe both are things that go hand in hand. In different stages of life, we get to you know, discover ourselves the more. And then also as we are discovering ourselves, that discovery also leads to we being, we are evolving. So there's one time you mentioned about this concept of reinvention, reinventing who you are. Um, I think for young people, you've probably taken a course in school, your life has been shaped in a certain way, right? There's something you already been shaped to do that you believe you want to do, but that thing did not maybe not work out. So what do you think are the steps or the process one has to go through in trying to reinventing oneself? Like switching a career, switching things you do, becoming something else. So how does that feel? And if possible, if you have an experience, to share on that, amazing. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Moses and Mr. Samuel. I think this is a very important question, especially for our age. We don't have most of our parents. They tell us that you get a job, finish university, get a job, and stick to that job for the rest of maybe 40 years. Have a retirement plan that's safe. So the generation that gave birth to us like to play it safe. So when you talk about reinventing yourself, you're like, can't you just get a job that is at least getting you a monthly income instead of all this? I want to be a Texas, I want to learn this, I want to learn that. And it may feel it's new to our generation. It's not something that we were taught how to constantly reinvent ourselves. Like I said, the generation that gave birth to us, they like it same. Just have a plan and stick to that plan, for the rest of your life. So I would say I would first acknowledge that it can be a little bit tough, being able to want to even do something different. I was sharing with some students at Nasarawa State University. I told them that there's life beyond certificates. There's life outside of certificates. And when you come out to this side of the world, you realize that maybe this is not going to serve me in the long term. Maybe this is not what is going to serve me for where I want to go anymore in life. So the first thing I would say is do your research. Sometimes, we have this desire, and the first thing is we want to jump ahead to go into it right away. I would say do your research first. Ask questions on that particular field that you want to change into. Look at the pros first, because it's not easy to have studied something for 7 years of your life and you're coming out and you just want to jump. Maybe, for instance, you studied law for all your life and now you want to get into the fintech world. And the first thing you're doing is how to launch your own app. Can you imagine? That's not understanding. That's you see people you start hearing, I want to launch my fintech app and I'm transitioning into tech and all of that. I would say that maybe while you're still in that law phase, while you're still there, do your research of where you want to be. Ask the questions and seek for mentors if possible. If possible. And when I say mentors, I do not say they have to be physical. For instance, I have a lot of people I may never meet in my life that are guiding me. So if I can't, I know I can't meet them. I know I may not say can. I buy their books. I want to venture, for instance, into consultancy. I studied law in school, but I want to go full into consultant business. I'm still doing my law work, but at the same time, I've started gathering with materials on consulting for people, on consulting for organizations. I'm currently taking a course with McKinsey and Company on consultation. We're now to get into the consultation business. So you ask questions. You get yourself mentors. Ask yourself, who is the person in that field that you feel like they have something they can contribute to the field you are going into? Those are the first two steps. Then along the line, because that is where you will receive confidence to actually make a drastic change and say, I'm no longer doing it. When you don't have information, you can't be confident enough. So I will say that before you go and jump into doing anything, get your information. You may not be able to get everything, but get some basics, get foundational knowledge, get yourself people that you will read their books, you look up to. Then that's where you can get the confidence to actually say you want to transition and you want to do something different. So it's very important. But if you jump in there, no mentor, no knowledge, you want to jump into the fintech world, I don't know what you are, I don't know your plan, but it's not safe.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Research is very important when it comes to the concept of reinvention. If you want to transition into anything, it is very wise to, to do a lot of research into that field. And even as you're doing research too, you mentioned something that earlier, that you should not, be afraid of taking a leap, not be afraid of taking a step. Also, as you're working on becoming, reinventing yourself, it's also good that you're doing something alongside, not just, waiting until you become the perfect person. There's nothing like perfection. It's all about, making progress. So thank you for that. So yeah, so the last question I have now connect back to, as we said, people on this call are leaders, or they will be, probably they're leading something at the moment, or very soon they are going to be leaders. So, I don't know, is there a difference between personal evolution and organizational evolution? So, for instance, maybe you start a business, you start an organization. Um, is there a process where also the organization has to go through this concept of evolution? And if so, how does it look? Because when you are trying to evolve for your own self, I think I won't say it's easy, but when you are the one, you can know whether you're truly evolving. But when you are taking people along with you, how does that feel? Having a team, having a company, having a business. So how does it feel, when you're trying to make other people evolve alongside with you as a leader? So
yeah, thank you very much. I think I am a friend of mine. We're still having this conversation. Now, when it comes to organization is not abstract. It's actually the people that make up the organization. The individuals are the ones who make up the organization. So the word organizational change, it involves people. It still involves individual people. And even for an organization to evolve, the individuals have to evolve. They have to be collective evolution. They have to be individual evolution. Now, the job of a leader in an organization is to enforce this in their consciousness. Because if we are going to transition as an organization, everybody in this team must actually commit also to personal evolution. Because like I said, the organization is not abstract. It's not a person on itself that will carry and say, let us evolve. It is still the people. They are the managing director, everybody. They are still the people. They are still the organization. So the organization is part of the organization. So first, as a leader, you need to drive it into the consciousness that personal evolution, when you're having your team culture, your company culture, yes, that's the word. Personal evolution has to be driven consistently to them. Because because you cannot evolve as your organization cannot make changes if your individuals are not changing. Your organization, your goal for, let me say, the goal for the organization cannot evolve. You can't have some milestones if you still have a partner who is thinking in 2012. So first is because I tell people, human capital is the most important capital of business. Is the most important of organization, not money. Your human resource. So that particular capital, you must heavily invest and heavily drive it into their consciousness that you are the organization and you have to evolve. Now, when we have a collective individual evolution, that is when an organization start talking about evolution because the individuals are involved. Now you may ask me, what is the difference? The difference is now like we are moving together, organization, we are collectively moving together towards it. Why individual may be just you, but now it is not only you as the leader who needs to commit to evolution, it's everybody on the team. And as you evolve, because this is it, when the managing director is evolving, it brings new ideas. When the HR department, when they are evolving and changing, they bring new ideas. When the accounting department is evolving, you start hearing something about adding technology to how we do our auditing. So it is when individual people are changing that we have ideas for the organization that can actually make the organization evolve. So when you see an organization that is not evolved, it's because the individuals are not evolved. So they like hand in hand. At the same time, it's more like organization evolution is the collective evolution of all of us moving forward. So that's it.
Well, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, that's a deep concept. Organizational, evolution is when each person in your team is evolving at the same time, and it's the role of a leader to ensure that everyone is growing at the same time. This is applicable to marriage. This is applicable to anything you're doing. If as a your husband and your wife is not evolving with you, it will lead to problem because there won't be balance in the ideas you're sharing. There won't be balance in the way you see things, and the level of exposure will not be balanced. So getting this balance is very important. So evolution is something we all need to put our mind into. What am I going to evolve into this year? Who do I want to become? When setting my goals for this year, I made a column, in the Excel sheet I used to set the goal that who am I going to become if I do this goal? So it's all about becoming, and becoming is the process of evolution. You are becoming, and it's what you become that we, push what you're going to do. Right? If you don't become someone, you will not be able to do something at that level. So there are many of us now that when they are talking about investing maybe $1 billion into a company, when that kind of information is flying around, it won't come to us. Why? Because of the level of the person we've become. So you have to shift yourself into another level of becoming for you to be able to do things that will take you, to the next level in life and also to be more successful. Well, thank you very much, Adetola. It's been an amazing time today. Great presentation, you inspire us every time, you educate us every time. I've learned a lot today. Thank you for the question and answer section. Thank you for making it very simple. Thank you for making it clear. We are very happy to have you, and we look forward to bringing you again. And also for everyone joining us, thank you very much for making it to the first ILC series in year 2024.